Morning, Stillwaters. This morning we have Travis Brevard with us, and many of you know him as Red. And Red's a good friend of ours, and he's been coming to church here for a couple of years, almost 3 years maybe. But in the last year, God has really just done some amazing things in his life, and boy, he is just his faith has just really been strengthened, and he's on fire for the Lord. And Red, he shared a little bit of his story with us one night out at the roping pen. He shared some of his testimony with us. And I came to Red and I said, Red, I think it'd be a great idea if you shared your testimony with the church. And Red, he agreed to do that. And so Red's here this morning, and Red's childhood was started off in kind of the worst of circumstances. And so he's going to share that with you today, and then show you where he's at today in his walk with Christ. And so, Red, I'll just thank you, brother, for being willing to come and share your story with us today. If you will, let's just go back to your childhood. You're a young boy. You're 4 or 5 years old, and you're living with your dad, right?
Yeah, I live with my daddy. About the farthest back I can really start as. First memories I have was whenever I was about 3 years old. I can remember going on hunting trips with my dad, and it seemed like every night we were always in the woods doing something. Whether we was hunting one night or fishing the next day. We were just always doing something. Just me, my dad, and my brother. You know, it's just a life of outdoors. And that's how I can remember it being, you know, till I was about 5 years old.
And you had a brother and a sister.
Yes.
And they're with you also, and
not my sister.
And your sister's not with you, but you and your brother.
Just me and my brother and my dad.
And your dad. And life's pretty good, even as a 5-year-old.
Yeah. Life's
pretty good.
I don't remember wanting for anything, or to tell you the truth, I don't remember my daddy whooping me for anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, till I was about 5 years old, my dad, he was diagnosed with cancer, and shortly after he had passed away.
Mm. So you're 5 years old, and you've lost your dad, and Mama's not in the picture.
No, my mother, she was never around. None that I've got no memories of her, you know, from the time I was a baby until my daddy had died. I ain't got any memories of her anyway.
Yeah.
But no, after Dad passed away with cancer and everything, I'd live with my aunts and stuff. I had 3 aunts, and over a few years period of time, I'd lived with each one of them for a little while. And I was a normal kid. I was in school. You know, life. You know, it seemed about as regular as it could get for the circumstances.
Yeah.
My last aunt that I lived with, she got in a car wreck out there on 31, and she passed away.
So you're probably around what age now?
I think I was around 7 or 8.
7 or 8. So you lose your dad at 5 to cancer.
Yeah.
Go through that process of losing your dad. You're passed around to a few aunts, and then one of the aunts that you're living with dies in a car wreck.
Yeah.
And you're 7 or 8 years old. So you've lost 2 people in your life that are really close to you, and you're not even a teenager yet.
Yeah. That's pretty much how it was.
Yeah.
I was at the time whenever my aunt passed away, I was living with her husband, which was my Uncle Jerry, and another one of my aunts. Not that I didn't learn this till after all of it. She had contacted my mom and told her everything that had happened, and she said, if you want them, you need to make an effort to do something to get them or something, you know.
Yeah.
But this is what's going on, and this is how it is.
Yeah. So you basically really didn't have anywhere to go. What you were living with your uncle, but they're trying to get your mom back into her own kid's life, right?
Yeah.
Is what they're trying to do, which would obviously be the best scenario to try to piece the family back together.
You would think that.
Yeah, you would think that.
Yeah.
So so kind of tell us a little bit. What was it like living with your mom?
It was rough. I don't know that I'd wish that on anybody. I remember the night that we got there. The house, it wasn't. Oh man. The place, it was in bad shape. I remember like the cinder blocks that held the house up. They had kind of pushed through the floor, and it was like walking through a maze and stuff like that. It wasn't in the greatest shape. It really wasn't. And wasn't all that livable, but
Yeah. But that was your home.
that
right then.
was home. That was all I had at the time.
Yeah.
It seemed like there were a lot of other things that were more important than providing, clean clothes, stuff that, a child needs in his everyday life to go to school, and I didn't expect to, live high up, like above my means. I mean, I never, even in the beginning, even whenever I was with my dad, it never was, never had more than what we needed. We always had what we needed, and it was always enough. I don't never remember going hungry when, Dad raised us. I think my daddy had one job his whole life, working for another man for a day's wages. My dad was an avid hunter, trapper, and I mean, he whatever it took to take care of us, he took it to the max every time.
Yeah.
My mother, on the other hand, it wasn't. There were other things that were more important, and really, it seemed like all I was just there for a check. It didn't, I don't ever remember, a loving home. And furthermore, it just wasn't a lot of love in that home.
Well, I remember you saying that your mama didn't really care for you much, and but actually would tell you that she liked your brother, and was your sister with you at this time?
My sister.
She liked your brother and your sister more than.
Yeah, I wasn't. It's the whole black sheep of the family thing. I mean, everybody's heard that, but no, that was a way of life, man. That was every day. It wasn't. No matter how hard I tried, to make somebody happy, to make them want to be proud of me, it never was that way. It didn't matter if I turned backflips all day, every day, jump how high. I don't know. I never felt like I was wanted or loved or anything. It just, whenever, like, and most of the time I didn't have to do anything wrong or something, by all means, if a kid does something where they need to be corrected, there's a right way and a wrong way to do it. Yeah. And I can break it down for you to understand what the wrong way is. It's not beating them in the head or busting their head open with air freshener cans. You got to go to the hospital and get 6 staples in your head to put you back together. Sending a kid to bed hungry, that ain't teaching them nothing. It's physical abuse is one thing. Mental abuse, it's what really breaks somebody down.
Even worse.
And to this day, before I ever even, thought about looking to God to try to give, put any kind of faith in Him, and it was just kind of like an everyday struggle. You're trying to be all that you can be, and if you ever let somebody break your spirit, you're as broke as they come. Yeah. Bum on the streets got more.
So you live with her up until the point where you're 14 or 15?
I was 15.
15 years old, and then life changed.
Life did change. Life got real quick.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, you know.
You're in Jefferson, Texas.
Yeah.
You're a 15-year-old kid.
She said, I'm fixing to leave, and she's going to go to Dallas with some dude, or, you know, I don't really remember all of it. But she said, you need to get all your stuff. I said, all right. You know, I didn't know, at the time, I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know if she'd done made arrangements to take me somewhere. She's taking me somewhere, all right. And there's a little old gas station right there as you're coming into Jefferson on the main strip. It's right there in front of the McDonald's now. But they pulled in there in a little old minivan. She said, well, that's where you get off. She said, you're a man, you make it on your own. I said, well, thank you. I said, it's probably the best thing you've ever done for me. I was already, I scrounged wherever, working, I guess in some kind of way I was halfway prepared, or not really prepared, but just growing up, the whole time living with her, I think I had one friend that was my age that I got to hang out with very, very little, but most of the time I was always off doing stuff, with her friends, or, doing work for somebody for her to benefit from it in some kind of way. So, I mean, I'm no stranger to work. I've been doing it for a long time. I wasn't the kid that held the flashlight. No, somebody else held the flashlight, and I was the one that was doing it. And, in a way, I'm thankful for that, because that's why I am the way that I am today. I don't guess there's too much that I can't do.
Yeah.
But she turned me out, right?
So she turns you out, but there's a sense of freedom with that, right?
It is.
Yeah, you're kind of getting out from under her authority and abuse and physical, mentally, but inside of you, there's something that says, I can make it, because you've got some skills, and there's just something in you that says, I can do this.
It was. I had a lot of motivation and a lot of will to be as successful as I could and not have to go back to there.
Yeah.
And really, at that point, I couldn't. She was gone. She was leaving. I couldn't go back anyway. Not even if I wanted to. It was either at that point either stand up. Take the hand that you've been dealt. You can blame some of your. I'm this way because of the life that I've had. That's an excuse.
Yeah.
That is an excuse. Your life is what you make it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get dealt a bad hand sometimes, or like myself, one of the things I couldn't help is just the way that it was.
Yeah.
And I took all of that and I turned it into motivation and want to, and I didn't want to. I wasn't going to lay down and let it just overtake me. And I don't know. I ain't got the right words for it.
Yeah. Well, you had to figure it out, and figure it out fast.
Yeah.
And figure it out on your own, and so you're 15 on your own. You have nowhere to live. Basically, everybody in the family is not there anymore, and you're homeless.
Pretty much.
At 15.
At 15. I ended up going and staying with one of my nephews, and I was still trying to go to school, trying to, do what I thought was right.
Yeah.
But I stayed with him maybe a year, if it was that long. And I'm not exactly for sure as far as date to date how long it was. But like I said, I'd left Jefferson school, and whenever I moved in with my nephew Chris, I was in Cardat school. And maybe 4 or 5 months I was still there, and then Chris come to me one day and he told me, he said, well, Red, he said, me and my old lady we're going through some hard times, and we're fixing to split up, and I'm going here, and she's going there, and we're fixing to lose the house. I said, well, all right. And so there I was back in that hole. You know, by the time I was just getting settled in, I was thinking, well, this ain't gonna be too bad. I mowed yards whenever I could, just trying to do what I could do to take care of myself. And we had came to Carthage one day. I don't even remember what it was for, but we had come in on 79 out there at River Hill. And we passed by a place, and I was like, I kind of caught a glimpse of it. I was like, well, that seemed familiar, just something about it. And that old truck, I'll never forget it. I mean, and the more I thought about it, and the whole time we were in Carthage, I was thinking, that place, it just something felt right about it. And on the way back by, we passed it up again. I was like, I told myself, y'all take me back there. I was like, well, all right. I said, no, y'all. I said, come on, let's go. Well, they carried me up there, and sure enough, whenever I got out, there was an old man sitting there in a chair on the front porch, chickens all around him, barefoot with a welding cap on. It was just an awkward moment because I looked at him and he looked at me. I knew who he was, but he didn't have a clue that I was who I was. And I asked him, I said, how you doing? He said, I'm doing pretty good. He said, is there something I can help you with? He said, who are you? I told him, I said, Uncle Joe, it's me. Travis, Leroy's youngest boy. Boy, he about fell to pieces. He said, we've looked for you forever. And, I sat there for probably an hour and told him a good bit, but not, I didn't go into detail with everything, exactly, how things really was and how they had been in the past. And after that, I hugged him and I told him I loved him. I gave him my phone number, or Chris's phone number. I didn't even have a phone at that time. What 15-year-old kid had a phone? But anyway, we went back home, and it was the next day. I was trying to get everything ready. I thinking about what I was going to do with myself, because once again, I didn't have no idea where I was going and the things I was going to do. I was fixing a lawnmower. I was that afternoon after I got in from school, and evidently, from what I understand, the way that it happened is after I'd left Uncle Joe's, my Uncle Frank had went by there to see him. Frank and Joe, they were brothers. My daddy's two brothers. And Frank was telling Uncle Joe, he said, hey, I run into old so-and-so the other day. And, he's like, he's doing pretty good. And Uncle Joe told him, he said, guess what, Frank? He said, guess who come see me the other day? He said, who? He said, Red did. Boy, that ate Uncle Frank up. He said, where is he? He said, I've done been everywhere in the world looking for that boy. He said, my mom would never allow me to come in contact with him because she knew I would cut and run.
Yeah.
And I did. I ran away from home once whenever I was a kid trying to get away from it. I just couldn't run far enough, fast enough. I couldn't get away. But anyhow, I was at the house fixing that lawnmower, and this little old car, Geo tractor, pulled up the house. Oh boy, I said, who's this? Man, a girl got out of the car, and they just kind of stood there and they looked at me. I didn't recognize it, man. That ZZ Top beard down to his knee. Well, we're out there. We're in Karnak, uncertain. We're down in the swamp anyway, so hillbilly here about fit in pretty good anywhere. Yeah. And he just looked at me, and it was an awkward stare. Once again, I just kind of, I didn't know what to say. I don't remember what I said to him. And then that's when it hit me, who it was. And I run to him and I hugged him. And we sat down and we talked for a pretty good while. And He said, really? He said, you know, it was a weekend. He said, why don't you come to the house, stay the night with me? The whole time that I lived there, man, he lived 5 miles. Well, it wasn't even 5 miles from me.
Really?
And I never knew it.
Hmm.
Never once I know. I mean, it's strange how stuff like that really does happen.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was there. He didn't know I was there. All that happened. You know, now that I look at it, that was God's grace. You know, that I even went with him to even come to Carthage for whatever reason it was.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget it, man. That was like the greatest day of my life.
Yeah.
Like.
So you're reunited with one of your dad's brothers, or two of your dad's brothers, but one of them says, well, he's basically offering you a place to live, right?
Yeah, whenever it first started out, you know, and I wasn't, you know, I don't go around with my hand out or nothing like that. I went home with him that night, and he asked me, so how you been doing? And I just kind of teared up. I said, oh, Frank, I said, I don't know that. I don't know that you're ready to hear, you know, just how I've really been doing or how I've done.
So you're reunited with one of your dad's brothers, and he offers you a place to live.
Yeah. You know, it didn't come off that way at first, you know. It was more like I sat and visited with him, and the next day he said, well, really, he said, I'm going to have to go to Carthage tomorrow and go to work and all that stuff. And so he carried me back to the house where I was staying. You know, when we got there, he put his car apart and he looked at me. He said, Red, he said, I want you to do something. He said, go in there and pack whatever you got, the shoes, whatever you want. He said, come put it in this car. He said, you're coming home. And I about fell to pieces, man. It
felt good.
It did. That was just to hear them words, like, you know, I felt like I was going somewhere where I belonged, and you know, and for a moment, none of that other stuff. It didn't matter no more. You know, that was like the safe word, the relief word. You know, going home. That was something that I'd been longing to hear for a long time.
Yeah.
And I ended up dropping out of school and everything. You know, he told me, you know, he said, I wished you wouldn't, you know, but I knew that he was going back and forth traveling and stuff like that, and I kind of, you know, when we're young, we all think, well, we can handle it, we can do whatever, you know. So at 15, I dropped out of school, and I'd come back and forth to Carthage with him a couple times, and I said, I'm ready to go to work. I want to go to work. And he said, all right. He said, in the morning, he said, I'm going to carry you. He said, we're going to see about getting you a job. I said, all right. So that morning rolls around, I'm up early. I'm ready. I'm like a horse, I'm just raring to go. So he carries me out there, introduces me to a man named Bob Anderson. You know.
But you're a 15-year-old kid still, but now you're basically an adult, making your own money, living your life. You know, you've got some sense of what a home is like, but I mean, you're just kind of doing your own deal now, right? So
there I was 15 years old. I had a job. I lived with Uncle Frank. You know, there in the moment it seemed like, you know, hey, I was on top of the world. I had it. I was doing wonderful. I was doing better than I'd ever done. You know, Bob didn't have to give me that job, and stuff didn't have to go the way that they did. But you know, looking back on it, that was God.
Yeah.
Him taking care of me.
So that was, even though you've dropped out of school, but you've got a job, and man, there's some sense of pride within yourself because you're making a living. You got somebody at home that cares about you, and life just kind of starts maybe going a lot better for you, right?
At that point, it was starting to look up.
Yeah.
You know.
And so everybody knows, I mean, Bob and Felicia, they go to church here, and they had a big influence on your life and reestablishing you in faith.
Yeah.
And so one thing that has not been a part of your life is the Lord.
Yeah. Bob had he tried to, he invited me to church a few times, and I don't know. We'll see, Bob. And just kind of shoved that to the back burner. I wasn't
too keen on the idea of church people.
I wasn't.
Yeah.
I could remember going to church when I was a little kid, but over the years I'd strayed so far away from it and stuff like that, and it just Sunday wasn't nothing but another day.
Yeah.
And Wednesday church on Wednesday nights, that was unheard of.
Yeah.
I surely wasn't going then.
Yeah.
But Bob, he'd come on, Red, go to church with me. And, I think I even told Bob one day, I said, you know what? I said, Bible thumpers are pretty persistent. And I think that's what I told him.
Yeah.
And I, the more I thought about what I said, I was like, Red, that wasn't right.
Yeah.
Didn't feel right, but, and, over a few months, period of time, rocked on. Bob, he still stayed pretty hard at me, come on, Red, go to church. And one day, I said, all right, we'll go. And sure enough, I did. I came to Stillwater's Cowboy Church, and that was when we were still over there in the little church.
Yeah.
And first things first, the church that I was brought up in was Beckville Baptist. And, a long way from Cowboy Church.
Yeah.
I had never in my life even heard or seen or, I just wasn't brought up that way. I always wanted to, live the cowboy lifestyle and stuff like that. I dreamed about it, during my spare time. When I was trying to stay out of, just stay hid out, if I was out of sight, I was out of mind, and Mama wasn't there to mess with me, or nobody was there to do anything to me. Off in my own little world, just thinking about what I wanted to be, what I could be someday. What's life going to be like in 2018? Where will I be? What kind of person will I be? And had Bob never gave me the opportunity to go to work and be all that I could be, and that's really whenever Bob, he kind of took me in, and Bob didn't give me no handout.
Yeah.
There's a big difference in between a handout and a hand up. You want to get rid of somebody, hand them out $20, you ain't gonna see them for a while.
Yeah.
A hand up, that's where, to me, my personal opinion, that's somebody that cares for you.
Yeah.
That wants to see you, see you make something of yourself, or go somewhere in life, be all that you can be.
Yeah.
And being around Bob and his attitude and being a man of Christ and everything, and somehow or another it rubbed off on me, and
Mm-hmm.
I visited once, and then I'd skip a little while, and he'd right back on me. Well, Red, I don't work you on Sundays. You want to come to church? We'll see about all that. And just it seemed like over a period of time, I'd visit a few more, and then, I don't know, it seemed like for a little while I got to where I was coming to church somewhat regular, not like I needed to be, and I still, giving my faith to God, that never crossed my mind. After I worked for Bob, I'm going to say it roughly around 4.5 years, something like that. I met Robert and Denise Bugler. Fine people.
Mm-hmm.
Fine people. Denise, and anybody that knows her, you couldn't ask to be around a more Christian person, godly woman.
Yeah.
I still wasn't in church like I needed to be. And Denise, she started working on me. And over a period of time, I'd back to visiting again, and then I don't really remember how it came about, but then I started being in church every Sunday. It seemed like, and then I got hungry for it. I don't remember exactly, how that come about. It's kind of strange how that happened.
Well, you're in a new environment now, though, than what you've been in your childhood, and you've got Christian people around you, people of faith, people that trust in the Lord or trying to help you, push you towards the Lord. They're talking about church, inviting you to church, hounding on you about being in church, and so you're just in a completely opposite environment than what you grew up in, and so that obviously has rubbed off on you some, and there's maybe possibly something to this living for the Lord, right?
It is.
Yeah. So you're thinking that in your mind, and man, you're kind of growing a little bit, and you're developing a hunger, for the Lord and for church, and you're surrounding yourself with Christian people. And there comes a time in your life where you just kind of let it all go. Is that right?
Yeah, that's about what happened. I got to thinking, I said one day, you know what, Lord? I said, I'm just going to give it to you. I said, you can have all my problems. I said, I'm tired of dragging them around. I'm tired of toting them. I said, it wears me down. I just don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
And the relationship that I have with God, it's amazing.
So there's that moment when you basically just hand your life over to Christ, and you feel this sense of relief, right? That you've given it over to Him, and things change from that moment, right?
Right.
I mean, there's now in you is just this deep desire to follow the Lord and share your story like you're doing today, and you're serving on the arena team, and man, you're just in a whole completely another level of life than where you've been.
I would have never in my wildest thought that it could have ever became, what it is today. If you'd asked me a couple of years ago, hey Red, down the road you're going to be doing this, this, and this, and I might would have had to turn it upside down to look at you or something like that. It'd have been funny, that's for sure.
Yeah. So, you're just, you're just a big blessing, to our church, and obviously, you've come from some very difficult circumstances with your family and all, and I can imagine, losing your dad, at an early age like that, and then going into an abusive situation, being passed around, and going into an abusive situation, and then being kicked out on your own at 15, and for you to be where you are today really is a modern day miracle.
Yeah.
And God's definitely had His hand in all of that from the very beginning. If you would, my question is, for some people that are sitting out there today, and maybe they've been through some difficult circumstances, and maybe worse than yours, or maybe not as worse as yours, but I think all of us at some point we kind of struggle with that God kind of owes us something better than what we've been dealt. We call it the hand of cards that we've been dealt. We look at those and say, this is not what I deserve, and we blame God for causing those things to happen in our life. What would you tell somebody this morning that maybe is struggling with the idea that God has their best in mind, even though they're in a difficult situation right now?
First thing I would start off by telling anybody that's in that type of situation is don't do it like I did. Don't wait so long to give it to God I don't look at it like God owes me anything, because God's already gave me the greatest. He gave us all the greatest gift that anybody could ever have.
Yeah.
Salvation. Put your faith in Him.
Mm-hmm.
He's already done. He's already done more for you than anybody on earth could ever do for you.
Yeah.
Just whatever your problems are, whether they're big or small, thank Him for them.
Yeah.
Give them to Him. And leave them with Him. Don't go back and pick it up.
Yeah.
Give them to Him. Be committed. And let Him fight.
Yeah.
Fight them fights for you.
Yeah. I think a lot of people maybe, that are in some difficult circumstances like that, and maybe even they're blaming God for dealing them, that hand of cards to play, as I say again. But why should somebody like that place their faith in Jesus Christ? Why wouldn't you? Why, yeah.
Why wouldn't you? And I didn't understand it at first, I mean, I've known about God, and I've heard plenty of people talk about Him and what times that I have attended church and stuff like that. Whenever I was little, I went to Beckville Baptist, but I was little as I was, I didn't, I probably didn't have a Sunday school like, this church here does, because it's outstanding. But there was a lot of things I was little and I didn't understand it, and I didn't comprehend a lot of it. I didn't understand the way that I do now exactly what kind of God what kind of God He really is.
Yeah.
He's God. He is.
Yeah. Pretty cool stuff.
It is.
Yeah. How He takes care of us, and sometimes we don't see that till later on in life, but He's definitely does have our best in mind. Hey, one last thing. What would you tell any parents today that have kids, knowing that you've been from a situation where your parents, you lost your dad, but situation where with your mom, she didn't treat you like what a true mom should? What would you tell moms and dads out there today?
To love your children. Be there for them every chance you can. Don't baby them. Every kid needs to learn, There ain't nothing wrong with learning. Ain't no lesson in life a bad lesson. It's just going to make you a lot better down the road. Be there for them. Provide for them the best way you can. Let them be kids. Don't treat them, don't treat them like a best friend. That's not, in my personal opinion, I don't think that you ought to treat your kid like a best friend, by all means, love them and do stuff with them and, interact with them and stuff, whatever they want to do, I ain't saying just, give them everything they want, because that ain't exactly the greatest thing either. Give them what they need, as far as everyday life, just take care of them the best way that you can and be all that you can. Kids today, they take their parents for granted, and I see so much of it, and I think to myself, well, I'd give anything to have, be in your shoes. Kids, they get so mad just because they don't get what they want. You know what? Just try being thankful for what you have.
Yeah.
I don't even think, that's how life was really intended to be. We have so much that, we get caught up in materialistic things, That's a lot of things that we don't think about is, having a mama and daddy under one roof. Being raised, by both parents from start to finish, not split homes or, whatever it is. And I mean, there's stuff in life that happens that we ain't got control over. It just, some things are the way that they are.
Yeah.
But, and that there kind of falls back to some other things. I'll talk about that in a minute. But you just don't see a lot of kids appreciating what they really have.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be like somebody else. Oh, so-and-so's got that. And, Mama and Daddy, I want that. And then, of course, they get mad when they don't get it.
Yeah.
You know what? Well, I remember the time in my life I'd been happy to have those busted shoes you got on. I'd been glad to have something like that.
Yeah.
There's just, we take everything for granted.
Yeah.
And we're not promised tomorrow.
That's right. That's right. Well, Red, man, I'm just glad that the Lord led you not only to our church, but He led you to some great people, and man, He's just taking care of you, throughout your life. And I'm glad that you've made a decision not to blame God for the hardships or make excuses for your situation, Lord. But man, you've just kind of you've just played the cards that you've been dealt to the best of your ability, and man, you've trusted in the Lord, and you've given that all to Him, and that's not an easy thing to do. And so I commend you for that, and I just look forward to how God's going to use you in the future, and keep growing and keep hustling. So
I'm going to. It ain't. That's all I know.
yeah.
But now that I've got God with me and He's got control of my life, it's, I don't know, I ain't trying to rush it by no means, but, every time I turn around, He's got something new for, in store for me, and it's, I've come a long way from where I was, and you know what, Bob Anderson is really what, I don't know, his persistency and giving me a hand up,
Yeah.
and sticking with me, and I mean, sure, I made mistakes, a lot of mistakes along the way, I'm self-taught, raised myself, and I still got some rough edges.
Yeah.
Me and God, we work on them every day.
Yeah.
One of the things that I tell God every morning is, I want to be a better person than I was yesterday. It don't always go that way. Whenever you turn it over to God, your fight's not over.
Yeah.
It's just begun.
Yeah. Yeah.
We serve an awesome God, and that's something that I'm thankful for.
Amen. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story, and I just know that God's got great things in store for you in the future. Guys, thanks for listening this morning. And if you get a chance to see Red, you tell him how proud you are of him and how he's given his life to Christ, and how he's just dependent on the Lord here lately. So if you see him, you tell him and encourage him. All right? Thank y'all for being here today.